Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do Hackintosh Ventura the new way using Proxmox. So, Proxmox is a hypervisor, so it allows you to run virtual machines. But the difference with Proxmox is it's not a Type 2, which is run on top of an operating system like actual Windows or macOS with, for example, VirtualBox or VMware Workstation on there. It's basically bare metal, just a hypervisor host, which in this case is Debian underneath, a Debian shell, and then it's adapted to be a lot lighter than Debian, sort of like Debian server, with the KVM host on top, which KVM is a virtualization host for Linux. So to get started, we're going to go over to the Proxmox website, so it's proxmox.com, and you can see we get a page like this. So if we go to downloads, Proxmox virtual environment, ISO images, and then download the ISO installer. I'm going to download it as a BitTorrent, so a torrent file, but you can download it as whatever. Then you're going to need a torrent client if you're using torrent. I'm just going to use my built-in Synology torrent file, and I'm going to just browse for that. Once you've done that, click on OK, or if you're just downloading the ISO image, you can just wait for that to download. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to wait for this to actually start downloading, and then once it's downloaded, I will be back and we can start downloading the software that we're going to prepare our USB installer with. So let's do that. So you can see it's now downloaded, so that's gone over to my network attached storage, but you'll just have it in your downloads folder. Then we just need to go over to belina.io/etcher and then click download etcher. So depending on the platform, you can select the different versions. I'm on Windows at the moment, so I'm going to select etcher for Windows. You can download the installer. I'm just going to download the portable version. You can see it's downloading at the top. Once it's downloaded, all you need to do is open that. Once it's opened, it'll take a moment. It might ask for a command prompt window, but that'll be fine. All you need to do with that is just click yes. But once it's opened, you'll receive a screen that looks a bit like this. So you've got flash from file here. You want to just do that and select the Proxmox ISO. So I need to select it from my network attached storage device. So I'm going to do that. You won't be able to see it at the moment, but I'm just going to have to copy it over if this doesn't work. So let me just copy it over to my downloads folder. So with that copied over now, I'm just going to select it, and then we are ready to plug in a USB drive. So you need to plug a USB drive in, preferably over 4 GB in size. So I've got a 32 GB one here, and I'm just going to use a USB 3 port on my motherboard or interface. If I click select target now, you can see it's shown up, and just click select. Once you've done that, click on flash. You might get a command processor, Windows CMD prompt on UAC. Just click yes, and then the flashing will start. It should not take that long if you've got a high-speed USB. I reckon usually about a minute and a half for me, but it all depends on the speed of your USB. So let's wait for it to flash, and then we're ready to actually install Proxmox. So let's do that. So you can see now it's successfully flashed. All we need to do is remove the USB from our computer, and then we are ready to plug it into the machine that we're going to be installing on. Do note that every piece of data on the machine, on most of the disks that you install on, will be wiped. You cannot do this by partitioning disks. So don't try to partition the disk because you'll lose your, for example, Windows installation. So please don't try and partition the disks. You're better to just add another drive into your PC if you want to dual boot Proxmox and the actual thing too. So I'm going to just get this set up because I'm just going to be doing a virtual machine of the Proxmox installation, but for you it will be on your physical machine. So let me just set that up, and then we'll get into installing Proxmox. So with everything set up, I've plugged in the USB drive into one of the available USB ports on that PC. In this case, I'm just passing it through to the virtual machine, but for you, you just need to plug it in, and then we're just going to click the power button. Once we click the power button, if we give it a moment, we want to head into the BIOS just to change a couple of settings. So for me, I just need to make sure that my resolution is set to 1080p, which indeed it is, and then that's all I need to do. So if I look here, I want to select in the boot menu. So if you're unsure your boot options key, type in on the internet, for example, Asus B450F Gaming boot option key into Google, and it'll tell you. Then once you're into the boot manager, you just want to select the UEFI option on your USB disk. Then you'll see a screen like this, install Proxmox VE. Just press enter on that. Then it will start to load the installer. So you can see it looks like Linux from the start here. But once the ISO image is loaded, you can see it's grabbed an IP address from the DHCP server in my lab, and basically it's going to load the GUI. So you can use a keyboard and mouse in this, but I just recommend sticking with keyboard. So you read all these terms, make sure you understand them before you click on accept. I've already read this plenty of times, so I agree. Then make sure you select the disk that you want to install it on. So for me, I've only got one disk because I'm obviously virtualizing this, but for example, if you've got an M.2 SSD and then you've got a 2TB hard drive and then some other disks in your PC, then you want to select the right one that you want to wipe out, because it will fully wipe out. You cannot partition Proxmox, so bear that in mind. I've selected mine, so I'm going to click on next. So again, you can use your mouse. Select your region, I'm in the United Kingdom, and then just put a password. So I'm going to just do that really quick. And then once we set the password, we'll have to set an email address. So this is for alerts if you have a mail server. I do, so I'm going to put that in now. Once that's all in, I'm clicking on next. Next is a host name. So a host name just allows you to type that in and then put 8006 in your web browser and access it without remembering the IP address. I'm just going to call this VM3 because it's the third host in my lab, because I've already got an existing Proxmox server and then an ESXi server too. Set an IP address, so that one's fine for me, and I recommend changing your DNS server to Cloudflare's, which is 1.1.1.1. Once you've done that, click on next again, untick automatically reboot, and then just click install. So this can take a while, especially on the creating LVM one, if you're using an M.2, because one of my Discord moderators, Tor, he's had a problem with that on this creating LVs. It does take quite a while, so be very patient, even though I'm not really a patient person. So the first time it happened to me, I basically restarted the installer over and over again until I just left it, and then it works. You can see it's already taken quite a while here, but I'm gonna wait for this, and you don't need to wait for it, so let's wait for the installer to finish. As you can see now, it says installation successful. So you can see it gives us an IP. You need to follow this structure. So you need to do https:// then your IP :8006 for the port. That's what it's telling us. So if I click reboot now, the system will obviously reboot. You want to unplug the USB drive now too, so then it boots from that drive. So you can see, for me this is just because I'm virtualizing, but you can see now it's going to automatically boot into Proxmox. So it shouldn't take long at all, especially if you're using a solid state drive. But you can see we're fully loaded now, so it's that easy. So it's telling us to go to the IP to start configuring. So let's go on to a web browser of your choice and go to the IP address. So for me, I'm going to be going to 192.168, making sure HTTPS 0.12.8006. So you'll get a message like this, just click advance and then proceed. The username is always root, and then the password is the one that you set in installation. Now, because this is a free piece of software, you won't get valid support for this product unless you pay. But we can just click OK. And that's it, we've got Proxmox installed. So if we go to click on our node and go to summary, you can see here that we've got it installed. Basically, from now on, it's absolutely easy. So, what me and my Discord moderator Tor have done is created a Ventura template. So what this allows you to do is basically run a file on the Proxmox server and Ventura will be ready for you to install. So that's what I'm going to be going through now. But you do need a program called WinSCP. So SCP is Secure Copy Protocol, I believe. And basically you just download it here, download, and then download it for Windows. And basically it's just a program, so I'm going to just show you that program now. But basically, all you do is download the torrent file on this page that will be linked in the description below. If you click download, you can see it's given us that torrent file. If you go to your torrent client, you can download one off the internet, type in transmission download, download it, attach the file, just drag and drop, and then you get this file called the vma.gz file, and then you just want to download it. Obviously I've got it downloaded because me and Tor made this. But basically, once you've got that downloaded, and it's in your downloads folder for example, you want to open up this WinSCP. So, all you need to do is go to that IP address, so it was 192, let me just switch to the window where you can actually see. So, this is the window you'll see, 192.168.0.12 I believe. And then the username is root again, and that password is the one that you set in the installation. If we press on OK now, and click yes if it gives you a warning about the certificate of the server. On the right here is the actual server, and then on the left is the my actual PC. So I'm just going to go onto my NAS, and you'll get a file like this. All you need to do is go on the server side, go to var, so we click back into the root directory. We go to var, lib, and then scroll down. Sorry, it's right at the top for me, but it'll be at the bottom for you. VZ, and then dump, and then just drag this file over. It's as easy as that. So we're gonna wait, so you'll get a uploading thing like this. So we're gonna wait until that's copied over, and then we can actually go on to restoring it, and then just some simple configuration, which is literally just a line of code, and that's it. So let's wait for it to copy over, and then I'll show you all that. So you can see now it's copied over, so we can basically just go back over to that Proxmox web interface. So I'm going to do that. You can see we're here. Guess what you need to do? If we go to local here, backups, click on that, restore, select the storage, click on that, click on restore. That's it. All you need to do now is wait. So it shouldn't take long at all, especially if you've got a fast SSD like me. You can see that it's pretty much instant. But when it gets to the 90% odd, that's when our files are actually copying over that we've modified, which is about 12 gigabytes in size, which gives the torrent its size. Basically, this restore files takes the download of Ventura away from you. It takes the download of OpenCore away, as it's already configured, and it also pops in a tools ISO for you, which we'll get onto later once macOS is installed. But basically, once this is done, we'll basically boot up the VM. That's all there is to it, really. So you can see it says OK on the restore task now, and you can see Tor's put together a little brief notes section. So basically. It's telling you that the password for login is 1234, even though you can set your own. So before booting, you have to replace the arguments, which I'll show you if you've got an AMD CPU with these ones. So I'll show you that in a moment. All you need to do is go to the VM, whatever your host name is, go to shell, and then do nano /etc pvaqemu server. You can tab that out as well, and then your VM ID, so it's 100 for me. Press that, and then basically you delete them, and then put these on the bottom. So you just paste it in, Control X, Y, Enter, edit the file. So once we've done that, we're now ready to get Ventura up and running. So we click Start now, and then we just give it a moment to initialize the display. But once it's done that, you'll see the Proxmox loading. Then UEFI shell, we just want to press enter on that, and then just press enter again. Then the following command, fs1 : and then /system /library /core services. You can tab this out. So for example, if I do SY and then press tab, it'll fill it out for me. Same with library, same with core services, boot.efi. So you can see the Apple logo already. We're already advancing, and it doesn't take as long as the old method that we used to do with these templates. But basically we're gonna actually set this up. So I'm gonna switch over to my actual virtualization host, as I'm virtualizing Proxmox right now and it's not happy with it, but I'll meet you on the actual installation screen. So you can see we're in the installation screen now after that boot up. First we're going to go into disk utility to actually wipe out a disk. So if we go to all devices here, you can see the Apple Inc. VirtIO block media. It's at 200 gigabytes in size. We just want to click erase, give it a name, so I'm just going to call it Hackintosh SSD. Erase. Then we're going to erase it. There we go, it's done. Go back, double click on install macOS Ventura, which is pretty straightforward. Click on continue. Then wait again. Then it'll ask for the license terms, so depending on how long it's going to take is depending on your system. Click agree, agree again, click on Hackintosh SSD, and then click continue. Now it'll start to install. It'll reboot after these 17 minutes. You just want to keep pressing enter when it keeps rebooting. But once you've done that, you'll be on the setup screen. So you set it up like a real Mac, just skip the Apple ID steps, and then you'll be greeted with a desktop, which I'm going to show you right now. So you can see we're on the Ventura desktop. So on the desktop you can see we have two things. So we have the Ventura installer, and then we have a HSV icon. So if you double click on that, you'll get a folder inside called HSV Get Started. Double click into that, and then basically if we open up this readme file that Tor's put together for me, it walks you through what to do. So you can open up the Getting Started folder, obviously you've done that, and then you can go to my checking GPU guides that I've put together, and then basically all you need to do is, I'll show you here, you double click, go to tools, and you can see here there's a lot of tools here. Right click and open up Open Core Configurator. This bypasses Gatekeeper. Then go to Tools, Mount EFI, and then mount the one that you've named. So for me it's called, if you scroll down in this list here, can see it's called Untitled here, which I believe is the 0S1, but I could be wrong. For you this might be a bit easier because I did change something around too, but I'll just let you know. Yeah, it is this one. So it's usually the top figure, but basically all you need to do is go back onto the desktop, double click into EFIs and choose the appropriate for your system. Now, because I'm using a legacy card, which is the GT630, I'm going to double click into the legacy GPU EFI and then drag that EFI folder in there, just because I want that. But if you're using a native GPU, plot that in there. If you're using a 5000, 6000 series AMD, just pop that in there too. But I'm just going to double check now. We're going to go to mount EFI, unmount this one, which is good practice, and I'm just going to mount this to just make sure, yeah, that's the one from the install macOS thing. The top one, the 0S1, is the one that you want. So now that we've done that, all we're going to do is restart macOS, so it's pretty simple and straightforward. And then we're ready to pass through our GPU. Now, if you're unsure how to do this, Tor has put a guide available on my website that I will leave in the link below. But basically, all you do is you can copy all the commands into your terminal. It involves going into the BIOS of your Proxmox host and changing a couple of settings around to get primary GPU working. But he's put it all in that guide. Thanks to him. I'm thanking him for that. But next is actually pass it through the GPU, which I will show you. You can see we're back on Ventura, which is great. So once it loads into the desktop, ready to start making SMBIOS changes. So if we go back to the HSB folder now, go to get started, and then go to the tools, and then we want to open up Open Code Configurator again. You want to make sure you change the SMBIOS. So it's included tools called Gen SMBIOS, which is stated in the README file if you have a look, telling you what to do. So you can see that it tells you to generate the SMBIOS. But basically, all you do is go to, sorry about this, you go to platform info here, and the one that both me and Tor recommend is Mac Pro 1,1. Sorry, not Mac Pro, iMac Pro. So if we go down, just a bit further down, we want iMac Pro 1,1. So it should all be saved here. And also, best practices, if we go to memory, we can add our frequencies. So you can add whatever you want. I'm just doing DDR3 in this case. If you have DDR5, then set it as DDR4, because obviously no Mac has DDR5 yet. But basically, you want to do the +2 times 3200 megahertz for the speed. Pretty straightforward, and you can actually put 6000 megahertz if you want. It doesn't really matter, but it's better to replicate that of your own system. So I've done, it's 4096 bank locator, so the first one's in bank 0 because computers count from 0. Whoops, I've put a line. And then this one is bank 1. And then the device located dim underscore A1. If you just replicate this, then it won't go wrong. Dim B1. And then the manufacturer, you can put it as whatever. I'll just put Apple because I don't really care about this. Apple again. Once this is all done, file, save, and then we're gonna, I don't know why I've not mentioned the EFI, but you're gonna just do that and save it. And then basically, if I click shut down now, we're ready to pass through the GPU. So if you follow that guide, you're going to be up to this step. So basically, all you want to do is go to hardware, add PCI device, go down to your GPU, add it, tick all functions in primary GPU. You can tick PCI Express, but that doesn't work for me, so if it doesn't work the PCI Express, just leave it unticked. And then now, because we've copied over the EFI, we can delete these two disks, like so. You can delete the HSB ISO if you really want to, but I'm just going to keep it there for the sake of it. But now, if we load up the Proxmox VM, so if I go to the display output of the GPU coming out of the server or the Proxmox host, you should see a picture very shortly. Then I'll show you how to actually do the GPU stuff, but you can see it's showing up, and basically we're going to just I'll get capture of the desktop of me installing the drivers, so let's do that. So you can see now we're on the login page again with the GPU pass-through. Now, because of the sake of this video, to make it easier, I've unticked primary GPU, so basically you'll see the VNC feed, and I'll just have to reboot, but so will you. So if we go to HSVE, the folder again, and then go to get started, and then tools, basically we're going to go to open core legacy patcher, and because it's quite a big download, I'm going to copy the link, or you can actually just click open link, and it's going to open in Safari for us to download. So it's a GitHub link, it's not my GitHub link and I'm not affiliated with them, but this is the GitHub link. So 0.65, we're going to download the GUI app, so it's about 670 megabytes in size, and you can see that the graphics aren't smooth at all. But basically, whilst this is doing it, if you look at the output of the monitor, you can see that's what it is, that's all it's showing us at the moment, but we're going to get macOS outputting on that too. So all I'm going to do is wait for this to decompress, and then we're going to click show in Finder and then start open core legacy patcher. Basically, if I click show in Finder now, right click, open, then once it's opened it's going to just verify some stuff, make sure it's not a virus, etc, just like Apple does. Basically once it's verified we're just going to click on open and proceed, and basically it'll say that there's available patches, which we'll see in a minute. So we click open, and then we click post install root patch. You can see it says that NVIDIA Kepler is ready for patching and USB 1.1. If we click start root patching, it'll ask to relaunch as root, so if I click yes, it'll ask for your password, so enter it. Then it's going to restart open core legacy patcher, and you can see it's downloading a kernel bug kit. So we're basically going to wait for that, and the patches are going to start straight away after that. The patches take around 2 minutes to complete, but again, depending on your hardware, depends how long it takes. But for me, it's usually about 2 minutes after this phase. Then it'll ask us to reboot, and then we're just going to reboot macOS and we'll get full graphics acceleration. But again, I'll show you that in a moment when it's all ready. So let's wait for it. So instead of waiting for that to actually start, basically I'll just show you that it actually works. So if I go to about this Mac, top here, whoops, go to about this Mac, you can see that we're on 13.0 here, and basically if I go to system settings, I nearly said preferences, but now it's system settings in Ventura, we're ready to update to the latest version. I just thought I'd do this because I've got ShareMace and all my stuff installed on this, so it's a bit easier for me to make the video possible. So let's wait on this check for update screen. So you can see it's found the update, so basically all I'm going to do is actually obviously start that update. So if I go to update now, if you're wondering what that B is, it's my ShareBase instance. So don't worry about that. But basically, if I make sure that the update started, we're just going to wait for that update to download. So it's been a bit slow, the update dialog, but I promise it works, and I'll show you when the update is actually finished. You can see now it's downloading. It just took a bit of time. I'd say about a minute for it to start, but once it's started, it'll reboot, and I'll show you that phase. So you can see it's rebooted now after the installation. Sorry I didn't capture it all, I was just really busy. But once it's booted up, we'll be faced with the macOS Ventura desktop. So what we're going to need to do is, I'm going to have to log in through VNC. So I'll do that. Basically, what I'm going to log in, and basically sometimes you need to reinstall the patches. So you can see that the patches are installed, but it's as easy as just installing them again. But you can see we're now on 13.3.1, which at the time of making this video is the latest version that has been released by Apple. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video on setting up the new way very easily using our templates. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing to this channel. If you do need help, please visit our Discord. You can see it's just showed up on the screen now, by the way, so I'm going to click OK. Please visit the Discord if you need help and create a help post. But that's going to be it for this video. Goodbye.